Hey everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make 2 cards using the cozyup card making stamp and thin cut set along with Gnomes for Autumn papers and stickers. So this is the stamp set and I'm going to use all of these pumpkins, and then I've got some scraps left over from workshop from Gnomes for Autumn, and I'm going to use these to make a couple of cards. Okay, so I have the 3 pumpkins loaded into my MISTI with some white daisy cardstock, and I'm going to stamp them out in black ink, and then I'm going to do some coloring off camera. Okay, so we'll get them stamped out, and they have coordinating thin cuts. So make sure we get a nice crisp image stamped out, and we're good to go there. And then off camera, I'm going to cut them out with the coordinating thin cuts, and I'm going to color them in with tri-blend markers. Okay, so now I have my 3 pumpkins ready to go, and we can start designing our card. Okay, so I'm going to use the regular side of honey butter as my base. I tried a couple of different colors just to see how the pumpkins looked against the colors and decided honey butter was best. And I'm going to cut that down to 4 by 5 1/4, so I have a white border from the card base around my design. Then I'm going to use a zip strip. So I like this one that has acorns and leaves on it in nice fall colors. And I was going to try to use the sunflowers, but decided ultimately I liked the mink colored base for that. And then I'm going to just cut a bunch of strips from the different patterns that I have here, and I'm going to create some banners to lie below that zip strip. This is an older design from Make It From Your Heart Volume 3, and I've kind of adjusted it to work for my images. But really it's just a bunch of strips of paper, and then you dovetail the ends and line them up at the bottom of your card there. Okay, so I'm going to use this pumpkin colored design, and then I'm going to bring in the stripes, and I'm just cutting at random widths just so they're not all the same, and then also the lengths are going to be different as well. Cutting them and then dovetailing. So just cut vertically in the center and then take each corner to meet that snip and cut your triangle out. And then I'll bring in this piece that's kind of a word search piece, and we'll trim that down a little bit less than an inch. We'll dovetail that one. And then for the last one, I'm going to bring in the sticker from the sticker sheet. Okay, so I'm going to use this sentiment here that says Happy Harvest, and then I'm going to use this little banner from the sticker sheet, and I'll just cut it down a little bit so it's shorter and it fits. And then we're ready to start putting our card together. Pretty simple. You can bust out a whole bunch of cards with scraps that you have left over from other workshops. Okay, so I'm going to kind of arrange my pumpkins, see how I like them, and then we can start assembling. I think that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to lay things out first, but I'm going to start by putting my banners down first. I'm going to work from the edges, so I have about a 1/2 inch of honey butter showing on each side, and then I'll fill in with the other 2 banners. And you can use more. I just felt like this worked. Got a lot going on with all those patterns, and you don't have to line up the tops of the banners because they're going to be covered up with that zip strip. So focus on the bottoms of the banners when you add them to your card front to see how you like them placed, and then you can cover up any uneven areas with that zip strip. And then I'll just put my pumpkins down. And that last small one I'm going to pop with some foam tape, just for a little dimension. So we'll get that added. And then I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to add my sentiment, so kind of playing around with that. And fortunately, the adhesive is forgiving, so you can pick things up and move them around. So I'll just trim down that sentiment so it's not quite so wide. And ultimately I decided on there. So then I'll shift the pumpkins around a little bit. And I like that. Okay, and then to finish it off, I'm going to add some of these pearls for my stash. They're flat-backed iridescent pearls. They're kind of a peach color. And I thought they went nicely, so I'm going to scatter a whole bunch of those around. Okay, we'll have some close-up shots in a second. And there's my finished card. Pumpkins are fun to color in. They're pretty easy with the tri-blends. Okay, I'm going to do another card. Now this one is from the new Make It From Your Heart Volume 6, and it is pattern 26. And it will be available starting September 1st. And then I have a larger piece of this Gnomes for Autumn pattern paper. So I'm going to cut that at 4 by 5 1/4, and that'll be my base. And then I'm going to add some shortbread. So now I've colored these pumpkins in using colored pencils. So they're a little bit lighter. I think I like them better than the tri-blends. Usually I favor the tri-blends, but I like the way these pumpkins turned out with the colored pencils. But anyway, they both look good. Okay, so I'm cutting down my shortbread piece, and then I'm just going to doodle a line around the edges to kind of create a frame. And I'm using the olive Le Pen to do this. So I'm just drawing a line around the edges. And the green kind of pulls things together, I think, with all the colors in that background piece. And then I'm going to bring in this piece of pumpkin pattern paper. I'm just following the measurements on the pattern. So this one's 1 by 4. And then I'll bring in a strip of mocha glitter paper. So it's 1/4 inch by 5 1/4. Just for a little bling. And I'll get things laid out on my card front here. Just to kind of see how things look. And ultimately I'll change that up, but it's a start. And then I'm going to bring my sentiment in. So I'm going to use the word thankful from this stamp set, and I'll stamp that in black. So I'll flip my Versamat over for stamping. First I'll load it on block. And then I'll flip my Versamat over to the soft side for stamping, and we'll just stamp that out in black ink up in the upper left corner of this piece of shortbread. And then we can kind of arrange the pumpkins around that sentiment to make sure everything fits. Okay, so now we can start assembling our card. I'm using some Tombow AirTouch tape runner and a card base from the value pack. So we'll just start layering things up. So place that down, and then we'll add that shortbread piece. Well, first we'll add the pumpkin piece, then we'll add the shortbread piece. Bump that over about 3/4 inch, and I'm using the measurements on my Versamat as a guide to help me place all these pieces. A lot of times I just eyeball it, but the measurements on the Versamat help. add that, and then we'll add that piece of glitter paper. And then we'll arrange the pumpkins. So I'll make a list of all these supplies with links in the description below. And last I checked, the cozyup card making stamps and thin cut set was still available. And the Gnomes for Autumn paper collection, along with some other stamps and thin cuts, that's available while supplies last until the end of September. So we'll just arrange all these pumpkins, and we'll pop that smaller one with some foam tape. I'm ready for fall. I like these fall colors. Okay, and then to finish it off, I'm going to add some of these flat back pearls for my stash. These are in green, and I think the color name is Tortoise. And just scatter a whole bunch of those around. And we'll call that one done. We'll bring in the other one, and then we'll have some close-up shots. I like the way this one turned out. Lots of fun new designs in that Maker From Your Heart Volume 6, so I encourage you to check it out when it becomes available on Friday. So I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and then you'll be able to find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.